Everyone be seated and be quiet, please.
Okay, you want to call the case?
David March, Joseph Walsh, Thomas Gaffney.
Okay, the record should reflect that all three defendants are present and on bond. Can all of the parties please introduce themselves?
Yes, Judge Patricia Brown Holmes, Special Prosecutor, here with Ron Safer, S-A-F-E-R, Kelly Warner, W-A-R-N-E-R, Brian Watson, W-A-T-S-O-N, and Aaron Gasparka, E-R-I-N-G-A-S-P-A-R-K-A, Assistant Special Prosecutors for the state.
Okay,
Good afternoon, Judge. James McKay on behalf of Dave March.
Good afternoon, Judge Todd Peter, Tom Green, and Robert Stanley on behalf of Joseph Walsh.
Hey, good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Will Payton. My last name is spelled F-A-H-Y. I represent Tom Gaffney.
thank you. And I apologize for the delay. My call was a bit heavier than I thought, so it took a little bit longer to wrap everything up. Thank you for your patience. So we left off the other day. Actually, we're starting the defense case. So, I don't know who wants to go first.
I will.
Okay, Mr. McKay. I've kind of been going in order, 01, 02, 03 defendant, so you would be 01.
Okay. Your Honor, this time, I'm going to proceed by way of stipulation on brief on behalf of all three defendants.
Okay,
Your Honor, it is stipulated that IPRA investigator Neubeck, N-E-U-B-E-C-K, were called to testify. He would testify that he was an investigator for the Independent Police Review Authority on October 28, 2014. He would testify that on that date, beginning at 3:57 p.m., at IPRA's offices located at 1615 West Chicago Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, he was interviewing Jose Torres. Investigator Neubeck would testify that the interview of Jose Torres was audio recorded. Investigator Neubeck would testify that prior to the interview of Jose Torres, Mr. Torres was sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Investigator Neubeck would testify that during that interview, Jose Torres was asked this question and gave the following answer. Question by Mr. Neubeck. And describe those movements, I guess. Do you see, like, how's he moving? Or Mr. Torres. To be honest with you, it looked like he was trying to get up. Like, cause he was, he was already hurt. So I don't know what it is to get shot or to get a bullet in me. But I'm assuming you gotta be in pain, so anybody's gonna move if they're in pain. And he was no longer a danger to the shooting, continue shooting if you know, or no longer a threat if he was already on the ground. So stipulated.
So stipulated.
okay, that stipulation's received and admitted. Mr. McKay?
We'll call Nancy Piekarski Black. Yeah. Yep.
What's anything?
Your Honor,
Yeah.
Your Honor.
Elena, you swear to God.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mr. McKay?
The witness has an objection to the witness.
Okay, then we need to have a little hearing This wasn't brought up at the EMC request? I didn't already rule this one. This one wasn't brought to the court's attention before?
I don't believe so. I don't believe this witness had filed for objection
Okay,
until now.
okay. We're going to have just a short recess to address this issue. Since she has an objection, the court needs to rule on that first.
May I proceed?
You may.
Ms. In a loud, clear voice, can you please state your name and spell for us your last name?
Retired Detective Nancy Piekarski Block, Piekarski-Block.
Ms. Piekarski Block, how long were you a Chicago police officer?
28 years.
And when did you retire from the Chicago Police Department?
May of 2017.
During your 28 years as a Chicago police officer, were you ever a detective?
Yes.
For how long?
For 18 of those years.
Ms. Piekarski Block, I want to direct your attention to the date of October 21st, 2014, where you're working as a detective with the Chicago Police Department and assigned to Area Central.
I was.
What was your unit of assignment, or what were your duties on October 21st, 2014?
I was working in the case management office.
Could you please explain what the case management office is?
The case management office is where the reports via computer come from the districts to the area. I would pull those reports up, read them, enter the method and CAU codes, and assign them to the detectives.
In Area Central, did the district reports sent to your unit include reports from the 8th district?
It did.
And when you say the method and CAU code, is CAU the case analysis unit?
It is, yes.
So tell us briefly, when reports would come in from the districts, what would you do with them?
I pull them up on the computer, I enter the codes, and then I assign them to the detectives.
You assign it to the detectives.
I do.
Then how would you do that?
In the computer.
Were you working, strike that, can you tell us what your hours of duty were on October 21st, 2014?
They were probably 11 to 7.
11 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
Yes.
When you arrived for work on the 21st of October, 2014, did you have occasion to review any reports from the 8th district?
Yes.
Ms. Piekarski Block, I'd like to direct your attention to the original case incident report prepared by an officer, Dora Fontaine. You see this?
Yes.
Could you please go to page 4? Now,
What, is this marked as an exhibit?
yes.
And what exhibit, please, just so the record's clear?
State exhibit
Fontaine case incident 1, Your Honor.
case incident.
It's tab 2 in the spaghetti binder.
Thank you.
Mr. Piekarski Block, direct your attention to page 4 of this 4-page document. Do you see names at the bottom of this page?
Yes.
I'd like to direct your attention to the line that includes the name of David March. You see that?
I do.
Ms. Piekarski Block, who put David March's name and information in this particular report?
I did,
How did you do that?
via computer.
Please describe to us in layman's terms what you mean.
I have a case up on the computer. I enter the codes that are applicable to the case, then put in the assigned detective star number, and the rest populates itself.
How do you know at that, on October 21st, 2014, that Detective David March was the assigned detective?
There are assignment sheets that are kept in the other offices on the floor, where they write down the cases that were called in by the POs on the street and the detective that was assigned then to that case.
So from that, you learned Detective March was the assigned detective, assigned the night before.
Yes,
And you did what regarding Officer Fontaine's report that we're looking at now?
nothing.
Well, what did you input in the computer for David March's name to pop up in Officer Fontaine's report?
I created a supplementary report, a method code, CAU code supplementary report. I put his star number in there. Once I put it in there, the system populates it into the original report.
May I approach?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Piekarski Black, I want to show you an exhibit that I have marked as March exhibit number 7 for identification. Can you tell us what this is?
This is my supplementary report.
Did you have a chance to review it before testifying for today?
I did.
Does it appear to be the same, substantially the same view today as it was when you prepared it on October 21st, 2014?
Yes,
When you prepared this report on October 21st, 2014, did it share the same RD number as Officer Fontaine's report that we just looked at?
yes.
And at what time did you submit your report? In other words, press enter on your computer.
15:02 hours. Oh, submitted, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but if I misspoke, I apologize. What time did you submit the report?
15:01 hours.
3:01 in the afternoon?
Yes.
We should put up Fontaine's report again, please. Page 4. Taking a look at the state's exhibit, do you see the time do you see the date and time near David March's name that you put in there?
I did.
And what is that?
21 October 2014, 15:01 hours.
Knowing that it has the identical date and time as your report, does that mean you're the person that put March's name on Officer Fontaine's report?
Yes,
All right. Prior to that, did David March, to your knowledge, have access to Officer Fontaine's report? And on Officer Fontaine's report, does it say, after you inputted David March's name and contact information, does it say that Officer, strike that, does it say that Detective March reviewed Officer Fontaine's report?
no,
Does it say that Detective March approved Officer Fontaine's report?
no.
Please go to page 1. And do you see on page 1 of Officer Fontaine's report, injured info, P.O. Van Dyke, and underneath it, injured by offender?
Yes,
Okay. When you submitted your supplemental report, which populated March's name into this report, did the information from Fontaine's report that populated into yours?
No,
Well,
well, some of it,
some of it.
yes, yes, some of it.
Let me direct your attention again to March exhibit number 7. I'm directing your attention to page 2 of this exhibit. Do you see under the line Theo Van Dyke?
Yes,
What does it say?
injured by offender.
Did this information end up on your report because it was placed on Fontaine's report to begin with?
Yes,
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Okay, and this witness is solely for defendant March, right? Mr. McKay?
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the code.
Okay, is anybody else?
As we're charged together in count 1, I think it should apply to Mr. Walsh as well.
So are you adopting
We would
this?
adopt.
Okay,
Judge, I'm sorry, we would also adopt.
okay. Thank you. Adopted by all defendants then. Are there any additional questions, Mr. Pugh?
We are.
Any additional questions, Mr. Fahey?
No, thank you, Judge.
All right, Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Do you have Brian Watson for the state and for the record?
Thank you.
Do you have March case incident 1 before you right now? Okay. Can we put up March case incident 1? At the bottom of March case incident 1, does Fontaine case incident 1 state print generated by David March, PC 09 469, December 20th, 2014, 0042?
yes,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For the record, I'm showing you Fontaine case incident 1. Do you see that?
yes,
Does Fontaine case incident 1 at the bottom state generated by March David, PC number 22 October 2014, 21 hours, 55 minutes?
yes,
And that's because defendant March printed that case incident report at that time.
Yeah.
Defendant March had access to Fontaine case incident 1 when he printed that report.
that would need further explanation.
Are you saying that you logged in under David March's PC number and printed the report? Do you know if anybody else logged in under David March's PC number and printed that report?
No.
You've printed reports from the Clear and Crisp system before, have you?
I am,
And when you print reports, it shows your name and your PC number.
yes,
And this People's Exhibit, Fontaine Case Incident 1, shows David March's name, David March's PC number, and the time and date when he printed it.
yes,
Can we show March Case Incident 1?
Right, was that the one you showed?
Yes, I'm going to clarify for the record. I'm showing you March Case Incident 1, which is already in evidence. Do you see that report?
yes,
And March Case Incident 1 shows print generated by David March his PC number and 20 December 2014, $0 right?
Yes,
And that's because David March printed that report.
yes,
And that's because David March had access to that report.
had access to print it,
Just like Fontaine case incident 1.
had access to print it, yes.
And when you print a report from the CPD system, you can see all the information that appears on that report. Is that right?
Yes,
Including the victim name or names,
yes,
including the injury names,
yes,
including the suspect names,
yes,
including the IUCR or the crime reporting classification.
yes,
The state subpoenaed you during its investigation, didn't it?
it did,
You received that subpoena?
yes,
You were represented by Jim McKay.
yes,
You refused to appear
Objection, Judge.
as a witness, Your Honor.
What's your objection?
Relevance.
Based on that, it's overruled.
You refused to appear to testify, is that right?
no,
You refused to produce any records, is that right?
no,
May I approach?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm showing the witness what will be marked as Piekarski block letter 1. Ms. Piekarski block,
yes,
Jim McKay was your lawyer at that time, is that right?
yes,
And he responded to Patricia Brown Holmes, special prosecutor, to the grand jury subpoena on May 12th, 2017, is that right?
yes,
And Mr. McKay said
Objection, hearsay.
Well, that would be hearsay.
that is your attorney agent
That would
at
be
that time.
that objection sustained.
Mr. McKay was your attorney and your agent at that time, is that right?
yes,
As your attorney and your agent at that time, Mr. McKay wrote,
Objection, hearsay.
That's sustained.
does Piekarski block letter 1 refresh your recollection of whether you refused to respond to the subpoena by asserting a right to remain silent and refused to produce documents and records?
I remove my objection
Well,
on relevance.
that's sustained.
my right to remain
You
silent.
don't have to answer that
Oh, I'm
question.
sorry.
That's okay.
Let me ask you this question. Did you refuse to produce files, documents, photographs, tangible things, and other materials or records, and testify in response to that subpoena?
I object again, Your Honor.
Overruled.
No, I had no records,
Did you refuse to appear to provide testimony as part of the state's investigation?
Your Honor, I have to object on not just relevance of this time, but also an invocation of a constitutional right cannot be used against a
I
witness.
understand. That's sustained.
Did you voluntarily participate and provide information to the state during its investigation at any time?
Objection, Your Honor.
That's sustained.
Were you subpoenaed to appear today
Yes,
by Mr. McKay
yes,
and give your testimony?
yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
May I take a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. Piekarski Block,
Yes.
based on what information did you assign the report to Detective March?
Based on information I got from a sheet that's kept in the Violent Crimes or HGS office, where they write down the jobs that were called in by the police officers and who they sent out on that job.
How did you know what code to assign?
You mean the method and CAU codes?
Yes.
From my knowledge of the system and reports or lists that I have in front of me to refer to.
What part of the system?
I'm not understanding.
What part of the system did you use to inform your knowledge to assign that code?
There's specific codes, and they say exactly what they're for. So you read the case report. If one of those applies, then you put it in.
And how did you know that that code applied to this homicide?
From the case report and from the written report from the office. The combination of those two things would have told me what I needed to know to put those codes into the report.
You had to find out the facts from this incident in order to apply the method and CAU code, right?
Yes,
You had to get the information from somewhere to apply the method and CAU code for this to be an assault aggravated PO, right?
I didn't put the UCR in. I put the method and CAU codes in.
And those had to come from somebody investigating the incident.
They came from the original report and from the handwritten report from the office where the information was put down when they called it in and when it was assigned to David March to go out.
And who wrote those?
Whoever was working in that office that day, I don't know who.
You don't know who it was?
Sorry.
You didn't assign it on your own? You were using information from somebody else, is that right?
Yes.
And you were using information from the case incident report that was created for this incident.
Yes.
And you don't know where that information originally came from, do you?
The reporting officer.
Do you know who told the reporting officer to write down ag assault, those victims, injury by offender, and refer to Detective Division supplementary report? Do you know who said that?
I do not.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Ms. Piekarski Black, your function in this matter was merely an administrative one, correct?
Correct.
You didn't do any investigative work in this case, right?
Right.
Your job was just to assign the detective through your paperwork the next day to the case report submitted by Officer Fontaine the night before, right?
Yes.
Counsel asked you, could you please put up Fontaine case incident 1, please? Highlight the bottom, sir. Counsel asked you about access by David March. Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
Does David March have access to print the report the following night after you assigned it?
Yes.
But does he have access to change anything in that report?
No.
And when you see David March's name at the bottom of Officer Fontaine's report, what's the date and the time?
22 October, 2014, 21:55 hours.
And what does that indicate to you, Ms. Piekarski Black?
But that is the time he printed the report.
He printed it.
Yeah.
He has no access to change anything in that report.
No.
On this report, correct?
Correct.
By doing your administrative function at 3:01 p.m. on October 21st, 2014, assigning David March to Officer Fontaine's report, it populated David March's name on Officer Fontaine's report, right?
Yes.
And it included all of his other contact information, right?
Yes.
Including David March's PC number, right?
Yes.
You put that PC number that belongs to David March into Fontaine's report, right?
No.
Well, by populating the computer system.
Yes. Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you, Judge. I have nothing further. Oh, wait, one last thing. Officer, that's right there. Ms. Piekarski Black, Exhibit 7, your report. Is this the only report you prepared in this case?
Yes.
Thank you. Now I have no further questions.
Mr. Pugh or Mr. Green, do you adopt?
Yes, you're right.
Mr. Fahey, okay. Any
Yes.
additional questions, Mr. Pugh or Mr. Green?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Fahey,
No further questions.
any recross?
No recross this witness, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You're excused. You may step down. Mr. McKay?
Judge, I'm going to proceed by way of stipulation, but can I have a few minutes to actually mark the exhibits, put exhibit numbers on them?
Yes.
There's going to be quite a few. If we have 5 minutes?
Yes, court's in recess.
Thank you.